Kamijo Toma and Shiro Emiya are two polarizing main characters, and part-time housewives. Die-hard Index and Fate fans seem to have huge man crushes on them. However, your average anime critic on Reddit often label them as bland Gary Stews with plot armor that makes Kirito look like he belongs in a Kamiga kill. But are these so-called dumbass hero wannabes perhaps misunderstood? Are they simply bland good guys with stupid moral codes? Or maybe they are deeper characters than what they are given credit for? Honestly, they don't deserve the hate, and here's why. It's actually scary how similar Toma and Shiro are. They might as well be twins. Both are from series that debuted in 2004, are popular with the ladies, get asked to perform mana transfer, but we don't talk about that. And of course, they are completely obsessed about saving others that they are willing to defy all logic and common sense. That's just a few examples. Shiro and Toma are so relentless, as it doesn't matter if they are against an enemy 10 times stronger than them on paper, they are charging headfirst into danger because they prioritize protecting others rather than their own well-being. Whether that's stupid or not is up for you to decide. Toma isn't a direct rip-off of Shiro though, as I'll explain near the end of the video, so stay tuned to learn. The reason why they have a negative reception by some is possibly due to the anime adaptations of both Fate Stay Night and Index. While Ufotable's Limited Blade Works and Heaven's Feel adaptations are mostly well received in comparison to Studio Dean's anime, which has the strange power to traumatize any Fate fan, Ufotable's versions of Fate still had to cut out a lot of material from the visual novel, which is pretty common for anime adaptations of visual novels and light novels, as it's almost impossible to include every line of text into a 24-episode anime or movie trilogy. For example, the first Heaven's Feel movie basically assumes you are already a Fate nerd who knows all the lore and background by not even explaining half the shit you see on screen. The Ufotable adaptations are best enjoyed thanks to their notorious unlimited budget works, bringing the epic fight scenes to life, as opposed to getting the complete experience one would get by investing your entire life into a visual novel. Admittedly, I've never played it. Please be kind to me in the comments. But going off what many hardcore Fate fans say on Reddit, it seems to be the case that the Shiro we got in the anime was a heavily watered down version, due to his internal thoughts and monologues not being included, which could have added the context and depth to his character to justify the way Shiro acts. I can sympathize with this as an obsessed Index fan, as this is a shockingly similar case to Index's adaptation of Toma. A Certain Magical Index was adapted from a light novel, and its anime infamously missed some pretty key details such as Toma's backstory, as well as rushing through very important arcs to hit a 26-episode threshold. Damn you, Index 3! With Toma, his inner thoughts are very important to understanding his character, just like Shiro. Toma has to cope with the fact that his memories have been erased and is trying to embrace the identity of Kamijo Toma by being the ideal version of what he believes would be the best person possible. Someone who is selfless and who always tries to do the right thing no matter what hardships he may face. And these inner thoughts were completely omitted from the Index anime, making it not really seem like Toma was dealing with a crazy identity crisis, but instead acting like a dense harem MC with a side of cliche anime amnesia, which is a huge shame. It's not as though these guys are unpopular characters though. The hardcore devotees of Fate and Index both stand the hell out of them. But do the adamant critics of Toma and Shiro have a point? Toma and Shiro could be seen as too nice, excluding Archer Emiya and the other alternate edgy versions, I suppose. While Vanilla Shiro is still willing to kill bad guys if the circumstances warrant it, Toma is an even bigger Boy Scout with a no-kill rule. He really is pro-life, huh? What I mean by the nice guy thing is that they both come across as generic heroes that want to selflessly save others at all times, often with little justification to do so, while also apparently having little to no character flaws. That's absolute cap, by the way, for reasons I'll discuss later. It seems to be the more edgy characters in their respective series are more respected, such as Accelerator, a psychotic mass murderer who who goes on a redemption arc, or Shiro's future self, aka Archer, who views his previous self as naive and idealistic, or you have Gilgamesh, who wants to become immortal and kill everyone who opposes him, I guess. I don't know, maybe these characters are just viewed as more badass, or simply have more character depth on paper compared to our main protagonist duo. There is also the accusation they are self-insert characters for lonely weebs with no lives outside of watching anime. And while I do agree with the extent that any character in fiction can be a self-insert if you delude yourself hard enough, I guess the meaning behind this point is that Toma and Shiro are both heroes in their teens that usually defeat the bad guys in front of them thanks to the armor of the plot. They also get a flock of girls begging for their bone of their swords, if you get what I mean. And with Shiro originally being from a hentai game, he ain't escaping the accusations easily. Despite all this, self-inserting yourself as these characters or viewing them as self-inserts seems silly. Toma himself is hardly ever happy. He's behind on his studies, cursed with bad luck, has the District 7 hospital as his second home, while also having an existential crisis in the novels. Yikes. Shiro himself deals with so much loss and hardship from a young age, irrespective of the story route. But Heaven's Feel especially is not very kind to him, to say the least. Or any of the other characters for that matter. So why the hell would any sane person want to trade lives with them? Just because of the goddamn waifus? Is that it? Come on! One of the more laughable reasons why people don't like them is their iconic quotes. And no, I'm not joking. Who could possibly forget classic lines such as, "People die when they are killed," and "Just because you're correct doesn't mean you're right." Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. These have been memed to oblivion and makes you think Shiro needs to spend more time in school than competing in a Magic Battle Royale death game. While it is amusing to poke fun at, in the same way everyone makes fun of Anakin's hatred for sand, these quotes are out of context and have been translated from the original Japanese, where it makes more sense in a native language. Still doesn't change the fact some people seem to take these lines at face value and judge the hell out of Shiro as a result, without even bothering to research the context behind the memes. Toma himself has some clanger lines that aren't memed to the same level of Shiro, but they still sound pretty dumb, such as, "I want to protect the smiles of others." I get what he's trying to say, but that's some strong-ass Gorgonzola right there. Maybe it does sound less cringe in Japanese, I don't know. Personally, I haven't seen many people criticize Toma's lines, as it tends to be his character and demeanor as a whole, which acts as the punching bag. Still, I wanted to bring it up just to exemplify how similar our duo is, and it ties in with the fact both are seen as dense and naive when it comes to their philosophies. By the way, if you'd like to see a video about who would win in a fight out of Shiro and Toma, help me get to 27k subs, and I will make that video for you guys. Okay, so why the hell are these so-called cardboard cutout good guys beloved by fans to the extent they are actually iconic main characters? Simply because there are a lot of misconceptions surrounding them that just ain't true. And some of the reasons why they are disliked are also at the root of why Fate and Index fans will passionately defend them at all costs. There is definitely meaning to Toma and Shiro's madness, even if their hero antics are a stupid way to act if you do apply it to real life logic. I don't think the authors Kamachi and Nasu are suggesting you need to treat them as absolute role models by going around acting like anime characters by trying to white knight every damsel in distress, girl you meet. Sure, you can take tidbits from their conduct in terms of standing up for what is right and protecting vulnerable people, which are generally admirable qualities to have. While both seem to be good Samaritans, the extent they both take it to is really unhealthy, that it's almost a borderline obsession. While they are portrayed as the forces of good in their respective series when fighting enemies with warped moralities, Shiro and Toma are essentially flawed role models, acting as inspirations for the audience to try and be better people. That's not to say the methods of doing things are perfect, as they are clearly not, especially when pushed to the absolute absolute extreme, as being completely selfless like Toma will just hurt you so much in the long term, which the story of Index does eventually explore in the Ofteness arc of the light novel. This makes sense, as it's impossible to be a perfect person no matter how hard Shiro, Toma, or us the audience try, and setting your moral standards that high will only crush you from the burden it brings. That's why Toma and Shiro are inspirational characters to the fans, as despite whatever holes they have in their logic, and even if we don't always agree with their way of doing things, their core values that they represent and fight for is what gravitates fans towards them. I feel like I need to address what the hell differentiates our duo, which is at the very core of their ideologies and beliefs. As while it may seem like they are carbon copies of each other, when that's not actually true, as someone who's a filthy anime only for Fate, I wanted to ask fans of both Fate and Index to explain to me the key factors that separates our respective goats from one another. And that is, Toma is still a virgin. Apart from that, while both are referred to and can be classified as heroes, Toma doesn't desire the status of being a hero. He simply does whatever he thinks is right in order to be the best person he can be, as an idealized version of the person he once was before his unfortunate memory loss. While Shiro wants to actually be a hero by living up to the ideals of his adoptive father, Kiritsugu. He wants to save others to fill the void in his heart after his family and others were killed after the Fuyuki fire. Shiro performs heroic acts, as bringing happiness to others makes him happy, while Toma isn't as concerned over his own happiness. Shiro doubts his ideals and beliefs, which leads to a change of heart with his future self, where he becomes cynical and abandons his core philosophy. What Toma wants in the end is to bring happiness to others first and live a normal life, while Shiro is more focused on fulfilling Kiritsugu's legacy, so those around him can have a second chance at life like he did. You could almost say it's his fate, eh? I'm so sorry. Both are misunderstood for similar reasons, but ultimately, Toma and Shiro are flawed individuals who had the core aspects of their characters watered down by disappointing anime adaptations, as well as being stereotyped and memes beyond repair by their viewers. Despite all this, they are absolutely adored in their respective fan bases for a reason. They inspire us to be better people, to continue fighting against the odds, and to cherish those close to our hearts in what little time we have left. And that's why Shiro and Toma deserve better. If you enjoyed this video, check out some of the other ones I made about Kamijo Toma, and stay tuned for more Index and anime content coming very soon.